Lindsay Halligan, President Trump's hand-picked U.S. attorney responsible for the indictment of former FBI Director James Comey, has admitted to a trial judge that the full grand jury never saw the final version of the charges leveled against the disgraced lawman. Excuse me, what? That is not how the grand jury system works. Halligan revised the charges against Comey after the grand jury couldn't agree on one of them, and she told U.S. District Judge Michael Nachmanoff that when she presented the new version, quote, the foreperson and another grand juror was also present, but apparently not the rest of the group. And grand juries function similarly to a trial jury, so picture only 2 out of the 12 hearing a whole case before rendering a verdict. The judge actually called Halligan a, quote, puppet for President Trump. And another prosecutor insisted, though, that the revised indictment was only slightly changed from the original. Still, that's a change. But one of Comey's defense attorneys called for the case to be thrown out, claiming that the indictment had not been properly secured by the full grand jury before the statute of limitations expired. And if you'll remember, this came down to the wire. The expiration date was just a few days after Comey was charged. Now, this latest development is somewhat related to that issue I told you about earlier this week. Another U.S. judge had ordered Halligan to turn over all the grand jury documents that are kept under seal. The feds argued against that order, and that's how they ended up here on Wednesday, with the possibility that this whole thing could just get tossed out. Now, after Wednesday's back and forth, Halligan told the Post in part, quote, personal attacks like Judge Nachmanoff referring to me as a puppet don't change the facts or the law. My focus remains on the record and the law, and I will continue to fulfill my responsibilities with professionalism. President Clinton's former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers has resigned his post on the board of OpenAI, that's the company behind ChatGPT, after the revelation that his relationship with the deceased pedophile Jeffrey Epstein was much more extensive than previously thought. It also prompted another one of Summers' employers, Harvard University, to launch a probe into not only his behavior, but any other ties between Epstein and Harvard faculty. Emails released last week showed that Summers emailed with Epstein frequently in 2017, 2018, and 2019. That's after his pedophile conviction, for those of you who are keeping track. Summers, who served as Harvard's president from 2001 to 2006, announced this week that he would be stepping back from public commitments thanks to this Epstein-related drama, but said that he would continue to teach economics courses at the Ivy League University. A massive law enforcement dragnet in Florida, dubbed Operation Home for the Holidays, recovered 122 missing children and led to 6 arrests. Authorities say that over the course of 2 weeks, they were able to rescue the children, who were between 23 months and 17 years old. Yes, the youngest, just shy of 2 years old. Now, the effort even went beyond the Sunshine State as well, and children in 9 additional states were also rescued, but the exact numbers there just aren't available yet. Law enforcement used real-time intelligence and field operations to locate these missing children. And officials note that, heartbreakingly, many of them experienced some kind of abuse, neglect, exploitation, or exposure to criminal activity. The identities of the 6 people arrested in the operation were not made available, but Florida's Attorney General said in a statement, quote, many of these kids have been victimized in unspeakable ways. We will prosecute their abusers to the fullest extent of the law.
For more on this story and everything else you could possibly want to know, check out the New York Post in print or online. And don't forget, like and subscribe to the New York POSTcast wherever you get your podcasts, and on YouTube. You'll be glad you did.